Hello everyone, my name is Kuba Chrobociński. I'm part of Sano Center and also a PhD student at the University of Sheffield. And I will talk to you today about some of the work that we did using virtual reality, in this case for the pulmonary hypertension diagnosis. Okay, so just a briefly an introduction. John did before me quite a good work explaining why virtual reality is an interesting prospect for showcasing things, so I will keep that brief. So we believe that the ability of virtual reality to present the data in a unique way and interact with it and also interact with other users is quite an interesting avenue that can be explored for medical domain in comparison, for example, for standard flat screen video conferences. But the problems are, of course, that it can be quite difficult to use. It can be cumbersome to use when you learn it, and can be expensive, but doesn't have to. But also it is seen a little bit as a gimmick or a gaming device. So you have to win the trust of the clinicians. So how do you do that? You try to present to them that it is usable on the real life cases. So we were fortunate enough to be invited by our clinical colleagues from Sheffield Teaching Hospital to take part in the session that was hosted by them during the British Society for Cardiovascular Imaging on the annual meeting. So what we did was to develop and present a virtual reality environment for an MDT, which I will explain what's that on the other slide. And what was done in it was exploration of a real-life case of a patient that was diagnosed with chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension. So an MDT, why is it a challenging case? Is that this is a team of many different professionals from different backgrounds. You can have doctors from different specialties, nurses, radiologists, technicians, so on. So a lot of different people with a lot of different mindsets, and also not only that, but you have a lot of different data modalities, text, videos, images, 3D, 4D images, so on. So all this variability produces the need for easy and quick communication between the participants. So that was the goal for the environment design. So we decided to do it simple. No fancy graphic interfaces, just as you would do that in a real-life meeting face-to-face. Overhead projectors, grabbable pieces of paper, video screen that you just play video. But also other than that, that's not really possible in real life, at least not in physicality. A CT scan of a patient with segmentations overlay on it, which you could also grab them and just look at them up close, put them under the overhead projector, so you can display it on a larger screen. So the aim was to be as intuitive, as natural as possible, just to facilitate the information transfer as much as possible. So how did it look? So that was a case of Mr. Pulmonary, which is obviously a fake name, but it was a real-life case of a 27-year-old male with a history of pulmonary embolism, progressive breathlessness, and suspected pulmonary hypertension. So how does the procedure look? So what the two participants, one radiologist, one clinician, did was inside the virtual reality environment first talk through the written reports, discuss the specific points, then go through the imaging, discuss that, and essentially everything as they would do in a normal real-life meeting, but in a virtual reality. Besides that, also the additional advantage of using VR is the fact that you can present the 3D data, such as CT scan, in a way that's natural. So it's a 3D object, so you see it in 3D, but also you could explore the segmentations. And based on that, it was the conclusion was reached that it was in fact a chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension, and the procedure was carried on further. So a couple of observations and conclusions that we've had from that exercise was that despite having a very little or no experience in virtual reality, our clinical colleagues were able to very quickly grasp what do they need to do. And we really believe that it was due to the fact that everything was designed in a way that you would normally interact with the environment. So they really didn't need any training at all. They just put the headset and go. So that was one of the things we've noticed, but also quite a surprising conclusion was also reached by them that, for example, it is very easy to compare, for example, sizes of the segments of different parts of the chambers of the heart, for example, which is one of the markers for the pulmonary hypertension. When you have different sizes of different heart compartments, you normally would do that on a flat screen, calculate the sizes and gauge it that way. But in VR, you could just grab them in both of your hands and essentially just look at them and have an estimation which is bigger than the other. And so that was one of the interesting things that we've seen. So despite being quite challenging, collaborative multimodal data exploration in virtual reality is quite an interesting alternative approach to both remote and on-site cooperation for cases like NMDT, and in terms of possible cooperations in the future. If this sounds like your case, so a multimodal data exploration in a collaborative environment, then we invite you to pay us a visit, and let's have a chat about what we can do in the future. Yep. And thank you very much for your attention.